All right, the Field2d class we saw referenced in Robot Container, and we primarily use it to keep track of and to ask which alliance we are on at any given moment. But it has some more powerful features as well. It's a singleton class. There are a great many singleton classes in 3061 lib. It too is a singleton class, and yes, we can get the current alliance via this class, which is what we usually do, but it also allows for modeling the field as a collection of regions. I believe we first wrote this in 2022, and we first ran it in competition in 2023. And in 2023, charged up, we used it to generate on-the-fly paths to score cubes and cones and avoid the charging station. Um, and so what you do each year, if you have need of generating on the fly paths, which is not always the case, is you set the regions that make up the field 2D. And so regions can be any polygon shape. The regions should not overlap, but they will have shared edges. Um, and you build up that collection of regions, and then you set it here in the field 2D. So let's jump into the region 2D class real quick. So you can see that the region has a shape, again, some sort of polygon, and then it has a transition map, which it keeps track of, which is important. So when you construct a region 2D, you just pass in an array of points that defines that polygon. Um, but then when you add a neighbor, you specify all of the neighbors of a given region. And when you specify that, hey, this region is a neighbor of this other region, you specify what we call the transition point. So that is if a robot is going to traverse from one region to the other, through which point will it drive as it does so? Um, this allows you some flexibility in terms of how those paths will be created to make sure, like, for example, obstacles are avoided. And so as you build up your neighbors for each region, you specify all of those transition points as you go. What this allows you to do, let's go back to field 2D. What this allows you to do then is you can just call make path on field 2D. You can specify start pose and end pose constraints, and it will certainly use Path Planner to build that path, but it will use Path Planner to build that path using all of the waypoints along the way to traverse from one region to the next region through the transition points. Furthermore, it can go from a region to another region that are not neighbors, and it will actually search for the shortest path, which it defines as through the fewest number of regions. So that may or may not be shortest from a distance perspective, and build up the waypoints for that. So when needed, this is super useful. And honestly, in some games, it's not needed at all. I don't think we've used it since 2023. Um, but it's a handy feature to have. So that's what Field 2D is and Region 2D is. But every year, we certainly call this Get Alliance method to determine if we're on the red or blue alliance, for sure.